This is QuickFlicks. Today, I'm going to tell you about the movie Konjiam Psychiatric Hospital. Two teenage daredevils climbed into the Konjiam Psychiatric Hospital, notorious for its paranormal incidents. They reached the legendary room 402, where no one has managed to get in yet. The door was closed. One of the guys started to break down this door, but then they heard a strange sound behind them, and the camera caught some movement. After this incident, no one heard anything about the teenagers. The video recorded by the guys appeared on YouTube. It was analyzed by the famous blogger Joon, who runs his own horror show. He's going to come there with his team, examine the hospital, and open the door to room 402. To make it more interesting, he invited other fans to test their nerves and record the next program. Konjiam Psychiatric Hospital is known for the group suicide of 42 patients and the mysterious disappearance of the chief doctor. Since then, there have been rumors of ghosts that regularly walk the corridors of the hospital. This building is surrounded by speculation. Many assume that the hospital was built on the burial site of Korean fighters brutally killed by Japanese soldiers. Others believe that the head doctor herself killed the patients and then hanged herself in the toilet. Still others believe that Konjiam is not a psychiatric hospital at all, but a torture camp. Whatever it was, Joon intends to find out if there really are bloodthirsty ghosts. So that the subscribers of his channel believe what is happening, he will arrange a live broadcast from the hospital. The participants of the expedition were scheduled to meet in a cafe. The girls came first. Charlotte came to Korea from the United States with the entire dance team. She has already visited 3 of the scariest places on the planet and now wants to add Konjiam to her list. And Joon is studying to be a nurse. She's shy, but despite this, she decided to go to a building with ghosts. Ji-hyun shoots their get-togethers on camera to post on YouTube later. The Horror Story Channel team also consisted of 3 people: Joon, who everyone calls Captain, Lee Sung-wook, broadcast host, and cameraman Park Sung-hoon. Another candidate besides the girls was Yoo Ja-yeon, and he arrived later than everyone else. Jae-yeon will do the editing of the footage and special effects. He will also be the second operator. After getting acquainted, the guys began to discuss the Konjiam Hospital and the rumors associated with it, as well as other YouTube broadcasts. It turned out that you can make good money on a live broadcast from such a place. Joon wants to collect at least 1 million views. The prospect of hitting the jackpot inspires the guys. The next day, they gathered the necessary equipment, took a tent, and went to the filming location. In the car, everyone made fun of Jae-yeon, suspecting that he was afraid to go to the hospital. On the way, they stopped to swim. When they drove up to the hospital, the guys saw that the entrance was blocked. The police are duty here so that curious onlookers don't poke their noses where they shouldn't. However, Joon thought it all out. He drove into the woods on the other side of the hospital, left the car, and then the whole team went up to the hill from where they would broadcast. Here, they set up a tent, unpacked the equipment, and prepared the cameras for shooting. Some of the cameras were fixed on the chest of the expedition participants. Others took Yoo Jae-yeon and Sung-hoon with them to film what was happening inside the hospital. Additional cameras with motion sensors were installed in the building, in rooms where paranormal phenomena were observed. The broadcast is scheduled to start at midnight. It is at this time that the ghosts of the hospital are especially active. Before nightfall, the guys had dinner and then went through the woods to the hospital. Warning phrases were written on the door of the hospital, which made the team tense. Before entering, they recorded a greeting for the audience and then went inside. It was dark and very scary. The guys moved cautiously, afraid of any rustle. At the beginning of the first hour of the night, the broadcast began. The first thing they did was visit the head doctor's office. As they entered, the door slammed shut behind them, startling the 6 researchers. On the floor, they found photos with patients and the chief doctor. Then Sung-hoon and Sung-wook went to prepare for the ritual to summon the souls of the patients killed in this clinic. Other team members explored different floors of the hospital at this time. Charlotte and Ji-hyun were on the first floor. Charlotte, who has visited 3 of the 7 scariest places on the planet, left her signature everywhere. This is where she wrote her name on the wall. Under it was written, "Live." Then they went to the laboratory where Charlotte broke one of the bottles and something with a bad smell fell out. In the closet was a doll that once belonged to one of the patients. The girls couldn't stand the unpleasant smell and hurried away. When Joon switched the cameras to Jae-yoon and Aeon, it turned out that these two were reporting from the scene of events that were not as interesting as what the girls found. Some action appeared on the screen when they found a wig in one of the rooms, thrown into the water to make it seem like someone's head. Yoon even had a little fun scaring Jae-yoon with this wig. While his team wandered around the hospital, Joon sat in a tent and rejoiced at the growing number of users joining the broadcast. Meanwhile, the guys inside were preparing to conduct a ritual to summon spirits. Ropes with bells were hung on the ceiling, candles were lit, and they were ready to act. When the spells written on the paper were burned, the candles suddenly went out, and the bells upstairs began to ring. What the hell? When the ropes broke and began to fall on the guys, they ran screaming out of the room. The live broadcast was temporarily interrupted by replaying the recording. Meanwhile, Joon called his teammates to discuss further actions. It turned out that all this was a performance to scare the others and raise the rating of the broadcast. Song-hoon and Song-wook had prepared everything in advance, and now all that remained was to activate the prepared horror stories and film the reaction of the others. But then, something really strange started happening. In the tent where Joon was, first someone turned on the fire on the tile. Then the screens began to flicker, displaying pictures from the cameras, and then the lights went out. But Joon chalked it up to a normal technical glitch. When the guys returned to the lab, the doll that Charlotte noticed was lying in another place. This scared her and the others terribly, because they did not know that the toy had been moved by members of Joon's team. Charlotte had a tantrum and ran away from the lab. When she was calmed down, the captain sent Jae-yoon and Aeon to room 402, while the others went to inspect the lockers where patients were once kept. Son-wook stuck his hand through the hole of one of the lockers and pretended that someone grabbed him. When he got free, he wanted to put his hand in again, but Ji-yeon did it instead. At first, nothing happened, but then she was also grabbed, leaving deep scratches on her skin. There's nothing there. Sneeze! Ji-yeon! Then the locker opened by itself. It was empty. The guys started to panic. Even Son-wook was afraid of what had happened. They wanted to escape, but Son-wook urged them to finish filming. Despite his arguments, Charlotte and Ji-yeon left. They were especially scared that someone grabbed her scarf and changed the inscription under her autograph to the word "die." The guys from the horror story team contacted the captain and told him everything, but he believed that what happened was just a coincidence, and the guys were scared because they were on edge. Son-wook wanted to finish the broadcast, but the captain said that they already had more than 300,000 viewers, which meant they could hit a big jackpot. The partners agreed to stay if Joon increased their share, and he agreed. However, something strange also started happening in his tent. The equipment itself was turning off and on again. Song-hoon and Sung-wook also found themselves in the center of paranormal energy. Objects moved around the room by themselves, scaring the guys and driving them into panic. Sun-wook lost consciousness, and when Song-hoon wanted to help him, an unknown force dragged him out of the room. Meanwhile, Charlotte and Ji-yeon got lost in the forest. It seemed to them that they were in the hospital again. Ji-yeon suddenly stopped, and when Charlotte looked at her face, it darkened and her eyes turned black. Ji-yeon began to whisper in an incomprehensible language. This whisper chilled them to the bone. Charlotte was lifted into the air as if someone wanted to strangle her, and then everything stopped. The girl found herself in room 402, and next to her was a creature that had once been a man. She called for help, knocked on the door, but she could not escape from the creature. After finding Yoon and Aeon, Song-hoon told Live that most of the horror stories turned out to be a setup, but now something really scary was happening, and he wanted to escape. At the moment, the broadcast had attracted almost 1 million people, and Ha-yoon was furious. He realized that he himself had to go to the hospital and film what was happening on camera. Next to room 402, a ping-pong ball appeared, about which there had been so many rumors. Then the door handle began to turn, and Charlotte's screams were heard from the room. The guys tried to free her, but they didn't succeed. Something terrible was coming at Jae-yoon, Song-hoon, and Aeon. A moment later, they were inside room 402, but there was no door to get out. Ghosts began to appear around them. They closed their eyes and made terrible noises. Soon, the torments of the guys ended, and they stayed there forever. When he arrived at the hospital, Ha-joon realized that everything was really happening. A monster got up behind him, grabbed him, and strangled him, lifting him to the ceiling. When Song-wook woke up in a dark room, something with frightening sounds attacked him and killed him. There was no one left. Even the audience, realizing that what was happening in the hospital was a hoax, left to broadcast. That's all for today. Subscribe and like if you want more similar videos.